Hello. In this video, we're going to look at more common factoring techniques. Specifically, we're going to look at how we apply this to variables or unknowns. Now, the reason why I say variables slash unknowns is because these are words that are often used to describe, for example, the x's, the a's, and the b's, but they can actually mean different things. Unknowns usually imply that they have specific values, whereas variables imply that the value is variable based on some patterns. So we think of it like a relationship often has variables. An equation has unknowns, right? You don't know what they are. So let's take a look. So what I'm going to do when I factor out unknowns here is what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look, and I see right away that there's an x in each of these. So that means that I can factor out at least one of them. And once I've looked at the x, then I look at the power. So here I have a power of 3, there I have a power of 2, and there I have no power, but what that really means is that I have a power of 1. So something that's useful in terms of understanding how this works is an exponent law. And I'm going to write it just down here. So a nice exponent law is the following. If I have a to the power of m times a to the power of n, so our bases are the same and we're multiplying, what we do then is we simply add the exponents. So that's m plus n. So for example, if I had, say, a to the 4 times a to the 5, that's going to be a to the 4 plus 5, which is a to the 9. Make that look more like an a. And that's an exponent law. And you can prove this to yourself if you want. A number of ways. You could say, well, if I had 3 times 3 times 3, that's going to be 3 squared times 3. And then 3 squared times 3 is going to give me 27, and 27 is 3 cubed. So you could kind of rationalize that, well, 2 plus 1 is 3. And then we could go right to that step there. So what I do here is I say, okay, well, what's the smallest exponent of these three? And in this case, it's 1. So what I do is let's change colors here, is I factor out x to the power of 1. And we don't often write the 1, but in this case I will, just to show you. So then I say to myself, well, remember, if I say x times x, I'm going to add the exponents. So I say, what 1 plus what gives me 3, and the answer is 2. The constant doesn't change. So then I say, what plus 1 gives me 2 and 1, so that's x to the 1 plus, and now if I factor x to the 1 out, all I'm left with is 1, and I'm done. So usually we just write this as x bracket x squared plus 3x plus 1. Okay, so a nice little thing here is if you look for the lowest power, that's what you can factor out. If it's a common element to each term and has the lowest power, we can factor it out. So let's go over to this next example, and let's start and look. Well, there's an a in the first term, there's an a in the second term, and there's an a in the third term. So let's just highlight these to help us see it. So that means I know I can factor out an a. And I see it's a squared, a to the 4th, a cubed. So the smallest is a squared. So therefore, a squared times what gives me a squared, and that's 1. So this is, all that's left here is b. And then I say, well, we have 4. A squared times what gives me a to the 4th. So that's a squared, because 2 plus 2 is 4. And the b doesn't change, minus 9. And then a squared times what gives me a cubed, and that's a to the 1, b squared, because 2 plus 1 is 3. So then I do the same thing now with the b's. So let's, different color here, I see a b there, b there, and I have b there. So that's really nice that I have a b in each term, so it means I can factor it out. I'm sure to still write out the square. So in each of these cases, well, the lowest power is 1, so I can factor out a b. So if I factor a b times what gives me b, and the answer is 1 plus 4a squared isn't going to change. B times what gives me b cubed? Well, if this is b to the 1, it's going to be b squared, because 1 plus 2 is 3, minus 9a, we won't write the power of 1, and then b times what gives me b squared, and the answer is b. And I'm done. So that's how you go in common factor. So a lot of people, they learn to common factor before they know the exponent law formally, But I think this is just a good time to open it up and put it out there for everyone to see, because the exponent law is a really useful law that will allow you to do some other algebraic techniques as you go forward. I hope this helped.